Hey everybody, how you guys doing today? I thought I would bring you a little video on the Cub. So here at No Limits, we are flight school as well as maintenance and doing fun stuff and flying and doing videos. But today I want to talk about kind of the Cub, some of the stuff we've done to it, and TK1 racing actually. So first off, Legend Cub. I think it's one of the best Cubs out there, really, if you think about it. This is a PA11 knockoff, so it's got no flaps. Everything else is typical Cub. It's wider, it's got doors on both sides, everything that Legend has. This has been a great airplane. We utilize this for tailwheel training. So we do that tailwheel training here at Coeur d'Alene Airport in Northern Idaho, so it's a great place to go and get that training and do it. This particular PA11, if you come up front here, has the Jabiru. Now, there was a handful of them that were done with the Jabiru originally. Took a little bit to get baffling and everything squared away, but I love this engine and this airframe. It's really light. It performs very, very well. 120 horsepower. Does very, very well. I've got 26-inch Goodyears. They're a little bit heavy, but we run the Goodyears because we're doing a lot of training in it, so a lot of landing. So bush wheels are the best for sure, but these 26-inch Goodyears are the best thing I can put on for a training aircraft. So we've got that, but you guys can kind of look around it. This is an 07, I do believe. It's got heel brakes. It's got a Dynon flight deck display. You can kind of look at that as we come around and do all the stuff there. I'll come around to the far side. So one of the great things about Legend is the two doors. It's just spectacular to fly. It's great to experience, be able to open up and do that. Something else that I think sets Legend apart is they TIG weld everything on this fuselage. So this whole fuselage is TIG welded. A lot of them are not TIG welded, but Legend does TIG weld everything. Now, one of the things that we struggled with in this particular airplane, and has nothing to do with Legend, it really was how we fly it and what we utilize it for, was our tail wheel. So this started off with a Maul tail wheel. That's what it left the factory with, and with that, with the 26s and the combination, we always struggled with a shimmy. So what do we do when we have a Maul tail wheel that shimmies and we can't figure out how to get rid of it? We upgrade. So we went to the Scott 3400. That was better, but it wasn't the be-all end-all for that. Still had a little bit of shimmy. I still wasn't real happy with the tail wheel control. We always had a problem with a right turning tendency on the ground, or a left turning turned really well to the left, didn't turn very well to the right when we were taxiing. It was a little bit more difficult for students to figure this out. So what do we do there? Bigger is better, right? So we went from the Scott 3400 up to a Alaska Bush Wheels, or baby bush wheel on it, hoping that might solve some of the shimmy issues. We would tighten things up and it would be great. And then 30 or 40 or 50 landings later, we would start to loosen things up and have a little bit more shimmy and kind of go through that. Well, it's been a couple years that we've done that and struggling with it, but everybody loved the airplane and it flew so well that we just kind of powered through it. And then I know I've talked back and forth over the years and ran across somebody years ago. Actually, the first time I ever met Tony was at a Livermore, California. It was an AOPA event. It was a fly-in, a STOL demo there. I was there in a Navion, but Tony was there and pushing his gear. I was on a Legend Cub and some other things. And got to talking to him, said, hey, I have this airplane. I'd love to put your tail wheel on it. And fast forward years later, I never did. And I finally went and broke down and ordered one. So I did that about, well, right at fall, right? And in Northern Idaho, the fall kind of came in and shut everything down. I got it, and beautiful product, unbelievable craftsmanship, and it just did everything. It did away with the leaf spring. It's got a gas charge shock on it to absorb the landing on that. So we went through that and did it. I put it all on, and lo and behold, it didn't steer as well as I had hoped. Now, I went through and kind of did everything that I thought, talked to Tony back and forth a handful of times, and I ended up just putting it away for the winter. Got springtime here. We're starting to get to a point to where we're going to start using this again, and we'll walk around to the back of the airplane. I'll meet you back there. But you guys can see, one, what a work of art that this tail wheel is. So it's the shock monster. I've got a flashlight here. You can see that. You can see the gas charged shock. It bolts on the same pickup points as the leaf spring. Same setup. I was having some problems with turning. Everything else was great. The compression was phenomenal. Everything bolted on. My baby bush wheel bolted on. Just amazing product. I called Tony, said, hey, having a little bit of problems. He sent me a couple different sets of springs to try. A little bit different setup on rigging of this tail wheel. And finally Tony said, after our second conversation, he's like, hey, I'm just going to swing by and look at that for you. Now, I'd like to say that we get great customer service because of what we do and who we are, but no, Tony was up here for another project, but customer service is second to none. So Tony and his wonderful wife came by the hangar on a Saturday. He spent probably an hour with us, went over, kind of going over. I thought something might have been wrong. Well, at the end of the day, it was actually installer error. I needed a little bit more preload than I was setting up on the tail wheel. He made a couple quick adjustments, went through and double checked everything, make sure that it was done right, and sent me on my way. And it's phenomenal. So it is the greatest tail wheel setup I've ever flown on any airplane. So I want to say thank you to Tony and TK1 Racing. Eventually I will put the nose gear on this, or the front gear on this. But the tail wheel is awesome. So if you guys get real close and kind of check it out, he does all of this manufacturing in-house. He was talking about it. He's got a bunch of new CNC machines, so he's doing all of this in-house, and I think he does everything, moving it all here. So outside of powder coating, he said, powder coating he sends out. But he did come up. There was some updates that he has done to this that he actually brought with him, and he changed out a couple things while he was here just to make sure we were getting what we wanted to do. So I want to give a huge shout out to Tony and TK1 Racing. This has been phenomenal. Our students love it. My CFIs that teach in this love it. It just works very, very, very well. I think it's much less harsh on the airframe, having this set up and how it lands, three-pointers, and you got to teach three-pointers as well as wheel landings. Even though Tony told me there's no reason for this to be on the ground other when you're taxiing, which he's absolutely right. But we have to teach those three-point landings, and this makes it a piece of cake. So anybody out there, I want to say, thank you to Tony for coming up and his wonderful wife and hanging out and going over this for us and telling me how I screwed up and fixing my screw-ups. Not really, he was great, but went through it and kind of did that. So if you got a Legend Cub, if you got a Carbon Cub, if you got any Cub that you can put a shock monster on it, put the shock monster on it. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal product. Really happy with that. So with that being said, that's kind of what I wanted to do. For anybody that knows, anybody in the local Idaho area that wants a tail wheel instruction, you can always come by and do that, as well as, you know what we do. We do seaplane ratings, multi-engine, single engine, as well as any other rating all the way through ATP. So I wanted to kind of go over the Cub. The Cub doesn't get much love on here with everybody, but everybody loves to see a yellow Cub. So here we got it. We've got PA11 colors on this, as that's what it is from Legend, or it's a Cub Special, I should say. But I want to say thank you guys very much, and I will see you on the next video. Later.